Welcome to Top of the Line. This is the podcast version of our YouTube show. New episodes every Monday and Friday where we talk about audio and hi-fi related themes.
If you have any requests for a future episode, send us an email, totl@abyssheadphones.com. So, we had a customer that emailed us and basically said he was thinking about using his Diana V2 with a MacBook Pro. And I guess it raised a bunch of questions for him, like, well, how would I do that? You know, what amplifier would be good enough for an Abyss headphone type thing? And can you run a 1266 on this scenario? And bottom line is that he's kind of thinking ahead, right? And I guess the question boils down to, would you buy a flagship headphone and run it on a lower end of things, or isn't it worth it type thing? You know, would you not bother with that? Would you go the other way?
So from my perspective, I would say yes. Because on our headphones, they all have similar enough driving characteristics. It's not like one can be driven by anything and the other one can't be driven by anything. You know, they're close enough that if you could drive any of the headphones, they're all going to work. So it depends on your goals to some extent, right? If you never plan on upgrading anything, then maybe spending more money on a higher end headphone doesn't have as much of an appeal. But for me, I've used 1266 on things like MacBooks, phones and dongles and things like that. And yeah, they sound pretty good on that. It's better than a lower end headphone for sure, even though you have those strong limitations of the DAC and the amp in the product.
Well, I guess the main thing is it needs to be quiet.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of output. So if you're in a very quiet room,
it's got to be quiet outside.
So if you're by yourself in a hotel, it's probably going to be okay.
Yeah.
I've done it.
Right.
But yeah, anytime there's any background noise, you pretty much need
higher volume to overcome that with the headphone. So which requires more juice. So that's one thing. I mean, but quality matters too. You know, the quality of the friggin' amplifier. Of course, we've talked about that 100 times over. And the reality of it is, I guess it's true that if you're going to be running like 100 milliwatts or a tenth of a watt out of something, then you're obviously not fully exploiting the capability of a 1266. I mean, not even close.
I've never plugged a 1266 into a laptop, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it'll play.
It'll work, yeah. The Dianas work okay as long as it's quiet.
Right.
And they sound pretty good. They sound better, like a MacBook Pro sounds better than the iPhone.
I mean, I guess to answer the question quickly, if you jumped around all the discussion, you'd say, someone called me and asked that question, can I use a 1266 on a laptop? I'd say, not without an amplifier. You know, otherwise don't bother. You're getting the wrong headphone for the application.
Well, that's pretty much it, yeah.
You know?
It's not that you can't do it. It's just there's better headphones for that use.
Yeah, right. You want something with higher efficiency.
I think it depends on your goals and your total system cost. Because if you're looking to spend, say, $5,000 on a total system, and you already have some components like a MacBook, a laptop, a phone, or something like that, and you figure, well, I could buy a 1266, plug it into that, and I'm all set. Maybe, but you probably would be better served buying a cheaper headphone and using a different, higher quality amplifier, or something that has a little bit more gain and oomph to it than what you get integrated in a phone.
Yeah, I mean, if the laptop's the only thing you got, and there's no way in hell you can run an amp, which is kind of just that nowadays.
Yeah.
You can get portable amplifiers like the X-Can here. You know, we got on the table. It's a $299 retail. This does a watt into our headphones.
Yeah.
You know, and it's Bluetooth, and you don't even need any cables. You just plug the headphone into this, and Bluetooth connected to your phone or your iPad or your laptop, and for $300 you're G2G. So, I mean, if you're worried about portable setups, this isn't much more to carry around.
Yeah, there's a handful of things that work pretty well now portably.
Yeah, and there's portable players and stuff, too, that do the same thing, where you can carry your music and your amplifier all in one package.
Well, yeah.
So, you know, the better ones are expensive, thousands of dollars, you know, but there are solutions. I guess it boils down to budget, too.
Yeah, of course.
You know, if you're blowing everything you got on the headphone and you have nothing to power it, then obviously that's not a good system. You know,
well, it's like a whole weakest link kind of situation.
Yeah,
but especially with 1266, like you'd have to adapt down to an 1/8" jack or something.
Yeah,
it would be a
we don't even
ideal.
we've done 3.5 millimeter adapters for I don't
then,
know
yeah,
what, that someone
yeah.
wants to try to run it into a portable. You would go from a 4-pin balance to a 3.5, you know, but
Yeah, we bring those adapters to shows in case somebody wants to plug it into something
something
portable,
they have.
and they have it already. Yeah.
And then they realize they don't have enough power.
Yeah.
Like,
In a show
this is
environment,
quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. At a show. Yeah.
That's the biggest challenge, though, because we've had a bunch of people that say this particular thing will drive these headphones great, no problem. But they fail to understand the differences in people's listening volumes. Some people listen to stuff really loud,
Right.
and they don't even notice it. They think it's normal volume because to them and the people around them, maybe it is. And other people listen really quiet, so they could get by just plugging it into their phone. And we've seen this. Some people say this is plenty for me, and they listen barely audible volume. And other people have to have it crazy, deafeningly loud. So if you know that you're the type of person that could have it quiet, you could get by with a MacBook, a laptop, a phone, a dongle, a tablet, pretty much anything really with an audio output. If it's a modern electronic device, usually the audio output's okay. It's tolerable. Now, not a ton of power. So driving demanding headphones, it's going to be quiet. But it'll work and it'll sound pretty good.
Yeah.
And I guess if you boil the question down to whether or not you should get the higher end headphone and plug it into what you have with aspirations to upgrade in the future,
That's fine.
or you should get the cheaper headphone and get the thing now because it's just not going to work, I would say go for the higher end headphone. And then you have an upgrade path in the future because it works. It works pretty well. And the higher end headphone probably will sound better even on your limited gear.
Oh, it'll sound good. Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised recently on my gaming PC. It was just out of convenience, I just plugged my Diana right into the headphone jack. It worked surprisingly well.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like super powerful, but it was enough to get by without, just for simplicity's sake, not needing a DAC.
And your audio and stuff's right on the motherboard of the PC, so it's nothing. You don't have an external card or anything.
Yeah, no external card.
It works surprisingly well on those. Any modern thing, usually there's a lot more care put into the audio
Yeah,
than
because
there
they
used
know
to be.
people are using gaming headsets. and
right.
Stuff. Yeah.
Right.
If you have a fairly newer computer, usually they're okay. Some are bad, but in general, they're really not that bad at all. And you could totally get by just plugging it right into a laptop or desktop, whatever.
Yeah.
For the most part, it's okay. It's just quiet.
And by the same token, too, you know, if you think about it, almost any headphone is going to sound better with an amplifier on
Yeah.
it. You know, I mean,
Right.
almost anything. So it's almost kind of should be your goal. It shouldn't. Your goal shouldn't be to buy a high-end anything, and then just plug it into what you know. Don't give it what it needs, so to speak, in terms of better sound. It doesn't cost a lot more. You can get lower cost, a few $100 desktop small amps too. But bottom line is that any headphone will benefit from it. So to me, that's kind of should be your goal no matter what, is get an amplifier in the chain to buffer the sound. And it helps to isolate the noise too, I think, a bit. You know, like the high
Especially
frequency
on
energy and
computers
noise
and
from
phones.
computers. You got a box in between that's going to dump it somewhere, at least help to reduce it. You know, and hopefully the noise floor comes down a little bit too, versus trying to plug in, like we've talked about this in the past.
Yeah.
Is your PC noisy? Well, not with our headphone because they're low efficiency. So
Yeah, no, yeah.
you don't really hear
you
the
don't-
noise.
Yeah, out of the headphone jack, yeah, there's no noise.
But if you get a
But if you had a sensitive, you could probably hear noise.
you'd hear buzzing, or you'd hear the processor working and not working.
But you could get little $50 boxes that'll plug into your computer over USB that have headphone outputs, DAC
right.
amps in them.
Yeah.
And they're pretty decent.
Yeah.
They're tolerable. So
Many times they're better than what's coming out of the
a lot of times it is. If
you
you
know?
have noise issues, that might be a first step. It doesn't
Yeah.
always solve it, but a lot
Right.
of times, if they're well designed, it will solve it.
Yeah. So I would say that would be the way to go if that's what you got as a source. Beef it up a little bit. It doesn't cost a lot more, and then it's perfectly acceptable to use a higher end headphone on it. Why not? You know, and then one day you can always expand your system.
Yeah. I think most people will tell you that the highest end headphone is probably the better start rather than getting like a mid-range or a low-end headphone and then getting a mid-range low-end amp. Right? Because then you kind of have two things that you need to upgrade. The headphone and the amp or the DAC or whatever is kind of limited. But if you start out with one thing, usually the headphone, the best you could afford, a lot of times it works out cheaper in the long run because you don't need to upgrade the headphone down the road. And more often than not, it seems to give you a better initial experience as well, as long as you're not in a loud environment.
Right.
Because there's no way around it. It's probably not going to drive a demanding
Or
headphone
you're not
loud.
planning on playing like super demanding bass heavy music because that requires juice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to have power. It'll just wimp out.
Or like classical.
Yeah,
We need-
yeah, it's got to be background jazz, blues, vocals are fine.
Right.
But yeah, when you want to do some some real serious rock and roll, you're going to need some power. So,
But you can get it cheap enough that
yeah.
I think the better bet is always getting the more expensive headphone if you can.
yeah.
Yep, dip your toe in the water with some cheap equipment, and then you can see as you progress up.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
true. Yeah, the scaling would be crazy. You think about it, if you took a really, really good headphone and you started from scratch with
Yeah.
just a laptop.
Yeah.
Then you get like you said, the $50 dongle or whatever
Right.
with a built-in DAC amp, and then you move up to a few $100 desktop, and every step of the way would be like a, whoa,
Yeah, it's a bit of a learning experience, I would guess.
It'd be pretty cool because the headphone won't run out of steam. It'll just keep playing. It'll just keep going up.
Well, and
You know?
you always have your benchmark of, well, I could just plug it right back into the laptop where I started to see,
Yeah.
where
Right.
where you've come from.
Yeah. It's
So-
that's probably more fun than anything. A lot of people rock through headphones like that over the years. It's kind of the same thing, but even then, you still got to rock through the amps when you rock through headphones. So, yeah, I'd say it makes more sense. But I still would shy away from getting a 1266
Yeah.
and plug it in a laptop. It's
Yeah.
just the type of headphone. If you're going to go that big,
It's
go,
a bit
It's a
extreme.
go big, go home situation.
Kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't even do that, and I
Yeah.
could do it, but
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
but yeah, Diana V2, no issues.
Yeah.
They're fine. So that's that.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for watching, and remember, if you got any questions for us, we can always use them. We'd like to try to answer them. TOTL@abyssheadphones.com. Take care of yourself.